to the Board Game Network. This is James. I'm going to be giving you the heads up on how to play Ponzi Scheme, put out by Tasty Minstrel Games. Plays 3 to 5 players in an hour to an hour and a half. And here's your setup. You're going to go through these market cards here, and you're going to pull out the blue ones, the ones that have blue on the right side of it, and you're going to set those down. You're going to put the 3 smallest ones here, the 3 biggest ones here, and the 3 middlest ones in the middle. And it doesn't matter if they're necessarily completely in order. You just have to have the 3 smallest, 3 biggest, and 3 in the middle. And this game was based on Charles Ponzi, the guy who came up with the Ponzi scheme in 1919. What he promised people is if they invested in his company, he would give them a 50% return in 45 days. And people just jumped on that. And the way he did that was not because he invested in stock or a company or land or anything like that. Instead, he took the money that the next person gave him to pay the first person. And that worked great for a while until at some point you don't have enough people coming in to pay everybody who's already in. And so that's illegal nowadays, the Ponzi scheme. We don't like that anymore. So you separate these industry tiles. There's 4 different kinds of industries, and there's no difference between them except for they have a different pattern on them. And you lay those out, and you have a screen to hide your money, and it's got a reference on the back, and you've got a little reference card that shows you the different steps also. And you got an envelope here to do clandestine trading with. You're going to set this dial up here with your time marker on the arrow. And the first step is funding. And to fund, whoever's going first, all they have to do is take one of these industry tiles. They say, I want this one. And because it's the first one of that industry that you have to take a card from the first row. So it doesn't matter. You can take any of them you want. And you put that one based on this number here. So this is a 5, so I would put that on the 5 space of my time dial. And I would collect $10. So this is the money that I get, and this is the interest I pay every round. So you'll notice that you're not making money for very long in this game. So you put that behind your screen. So that's what this first part is. Take an industry tile, take the card, and collect your money. And anytime there's a missing space here, you're going to flip up a new card, and you're going to once again rearrange them so that the 3 smallest ones are at the top and the 3 largest are at the bottom. And then it's the next player's turn. And once you've gone around and everybody has done that, then you go into clandestine trading. And clandestine trading is this envelope here. And what you do is you look around, and if somebody else has the same industry you have, you can try to buy their industry from them. So you take a certain amount of money, and it's behind your screen so nobody gets to see. You hide that in an envelope, and you say, I want to buy your whatever industry. You hand them an envelope. They look to see how much money is in there. And they have 2 choices. They can either sell you their industry, or they can put an equal amount of money back in the envelope and hand it back to you, and then you have to sell them your industry. So if you're wanting the industry, you need to make sure you put enough money in there to entice them to sell theirs. If you're really needing money and you're wanting to sell yours, you need to give them a good enough deal that they will buy yours. Okay, and when you're drawing these cards up here, you can only draw 3 of the same industry. So on my next round, I could take another one from here, and because that is the second one, I would draw from the second row. If it was the third one, I'd draw from the third row. But once I've drawn 3 of the same industry, I am stuck. I cannot get any more. However, you can get more of the same industry in the game by doing the clandestine trading. So that's the only way to get more than 3 of a single industry. Then your next step is to pass the marker This represents the first player, so you pass it to the next player. And then that player removes one card from the board, any card he wants. And if it's a start card, one of the blue cards, it goes out of the game. If it's any other card, it just goes to the discard pile. Anytime you're out of cards, you just reshuffle the discard. So maybe he doesn't want that 58 up there. I don't know. And then you flip up a new card. And then you do the market crash. And the market crash, these are bear cards right here. They're red ones. If there's ever on the board the same number of bears as there are players in the game, that's when the market crashes on this phase, market crash. And the number of bears is greater than or equal to the number of players. What happens is the bears get discarded. All the cards in the discard get shuffled into the deck, and then you refill the cards out here. So you deal them back out. I'm just picking one out there. That's market crash, and then you turn the wheel. And the wheel turns one space clockwise unless the market crashed, and then it's going to turn 2 spaces clockwise instead. So it's either going to turn 1 space or 2 spaces. And then you pay your interest. So any card that is in front of the triangle, or if it passed it because of the market crash, you have to pay interest on all those cards. So you look down there and say, well, I owe $9 because of this one. So you pay your $9 interest, you get your $1 back. Any other ones you had to pay interest on. And then what you do is you pick these cards up and you put them back on whichever number they go on. So this one would always go back to a 5. And you'll notice in the lower right hand corner it does give you the actual interest rate of what you're paying for these cards. So you can kind of quickly look and see how bad of a deal you're getting on taking these cards. And the way they calculated the interest is they just took whatever the interest rate is divided by the total amount of money you got, and then divided that by which space you're on. So it's not really accumulating interest. It's just calculating the same amount of interest for each step. Okay, so this one here says 18%. So what they did was they took 9 divided by 10, which would be 90%, and divided it by 5 and got 18%. So then you pay your interest and you go back to funding. So on the next round, whoever the first player is, he's going to take an industry tile. And so that's how it goes until somebody cannot pay their interest. Once somebody goes bankrupt or they can't pay their interest, then the game's immediately over. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. So how do you get points? You get points by your tile points, and there's a little chart in the back of your rules. So for each industry, if you have one of an industry, you get 1 point for it. If you have 2 of the same industry, you get 3 points. 3 of the same industry is 6. So you're getting 1 point for the first one, 1.5 for each of if you got 2, 2 points if you got 3, 3.5 each for 4, and so on, and it keeps going up 0.5 point for every additional one. So you definitely would want to have a whole bunch of fewer industries. You'll get more points at the end of the game. And then you also get points for cash on hand that you have left over. And whoever went bankrupt, they're out, they lost. But these wealth tiles here, these remind you of your wealth points at the end of the game. If you've got over 30 and less than 55, you get 1 point. If you've got 56 to 77, you get 2 points. 78 to 96, you get 3 points. Or if you got $96 or more, you get 4 points at the end of the game to add on to your previous points. And then whoever has the most points is the winner. And if there's a tie, whoever has the biggest dollar value of market card is the winner. Now that's the basic game. The advanced game just makes a very slight adjustment. And instead of you getting wealth points at the end of the game, having getting points based on the amount of money you have, what you actually do is on your turn you can buy these. And so you buy, like you would buy this one for $30, and it gives you 1 point at the end of the game. And so if you have it, nobody else can have it. And so you do not get any kind of points at the end of the game for extra money. So that's the clandestine trade. This is the market crash, and this is spinning the wheel. So this bottom one kind of goes in reverse order. Not sure why there. So that is Ponzi scheme. I would suggest that, especially if you got any teenagers in the house or something, the more financial type games you can play, the better off you are, because they will learn things like counting money. They will learn how Ponzi schemes work, and they will realize, you know, you don't have to beat them over the head with a stick to learn some stuff. They can play a game and think they're having fun, which they probably are having fun, but then they can learn some life skills and life knowledge, let's put it that way. So that is Ponzi Scheme, put out by Tasty Minstrel Games. Make sure you tune into all of the videos here at the Board Game Network.